Let's see what we got going on here. So today we are working on a fragrance that I'm trying to add to the line. I'm stuck somewhere between Poseidon, Neptune, and Atlantis. I need something of the ocean, considering I bought a ton of marine chemicals, aroma chemicals. So that's what we've been working on. I'm close to my final formulation of it, so I thought that I'd go live and record how that's done. I just added something with this pipette. This is a pipette. You take your chemicals out of here using a pipette. Usually you would measure them on a gram scale or something, which I have over there. But since I'm just making something in the general direction right now, I'm not gonna do that part. But whenever I go to actually like fully formulate this for publication or for production or marketing, I'll weigh each chemical after I put it inside of whatever container, and I'll weigh the container and subtract the weight to make sure that each one has the same, weight. Some people actually count these by drops, which is generally bad. This is amazing. Thanks for sharing this live. Hey Charity, what's up? You're welcome. So just now I added something known as, it's typically called a seaweed accord. It smells like seaweed because I want Poseidon to actually smell somewhat like an ocean. I want people to feel like when they're nearby you that you smell pleasantly like the ocean, but not literally like the ocean. So it'll have like a taint or little remnants of ocean life, marine life, the biomarine, what is it called? Not ozone, the biodomes? Yeah. So we've added a little bit of that in there. Now I'm gonna move on to another fragrance or another chemical. This one is called Triplolol. Triplolol is very marine-like. We're gonna add maybe about 5 drops of this in there. Very crustaceous smelling. So we insert the pipette. This is a different pipette than the one that I just showed you because you don't ever want to mix these chemicals. Once you've done that, they basically become useless because they're that strong. So then we get here. I probably shouldn't do this right above my Alienware. But we're gonna add 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's starting to smell like a little sea-like. We're starting to have a little bit of the sea involved. So we're gonna move that out the way. We've added our Triplolol. We've added a little bit of seaweed. And this one is added to almost every perfume you've ever bought in life. It's called Linoleum oxide. It's just something that gives aura. It doesn't really have much of a fragrance of its own. It uplifts other things that you've smelled. So we've used this one. We're gonna put it down. Pipettes are relatively cheap. I buy them in like bulk, and you just throw them away. Some people clean them and reuse them, which could be good or bad. So now we're gonna add some linalool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to add 10 of this. Seven, 8, 9, 10. Now that we have the linalool inside, it really lifted up the marine smells that I just put in there. Like they have now moved from being somewhere about like an inch off into the air to like 3 inches into the air. They've literally started rising. It's almost like to say it's a staircase. It just makes them taller. It's a ladder. And we're gonna add alpha pinene. Alpha pinene is basically like it's forest pine basically, but minus the tree itself. It's like what would be left over if I just took the tree out of the forest and remnants of the smell were in the air. Beta pinene actually would smell more like the tree. This is like the ozone around the tree that would be alpha pinene. The reason we're adding this is because I want a little bit of spice and I want a little bit of green, some life added to Poseidon. So we'll add probably 5 of this, maybe 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we'll do 8. Now, in general, most perfumers will sit down and do concentration measurements. I've already basically done that for what's in the bottle that I'm not showing you on this video. So the things that I'm adding in now are only like maybe about 10% of the fragrance, 15% of the fragrance. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here like actually calculating all of it out for you. We will add some marine accord. That smells beautiful. This smells literally like an ocean. So we move on to our last one. The marine and ozone. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me add 5 extra of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm keeping tabs on percentages in my head right now, so. And we get to the last and final scent that I will add to this. It's known as stemone. Stemone has like a very strong marine, like minty almost. It's a very deep smell. It's rich. The smell is very rich. It's like probably gonna overtake everything else in the bottle. So we're not gonna want that much of it. There's a reason that it comes in this tin can. So we'll add 1, 2, 3. 3 of that. Nothing much. Just a touch. Now I need to add one more ingredient to this, obviously the alcohol. Some people will put the alcohol first, some people will put it last. It depends on what else you have in this bottle. So, interesting smell. This is very, very marine-like now. It smells like a regal fish tank, but once I add the alcohol and the things actually blend together and mix, it should change. I will be right back. I need to go grab my container of alcohol. All right, now we are back with, is it briny, like salty scented? Yes, it is 100% briny. It's getting there. Well, I'd say like after I put this denatured alcohol in there, it should be, the brine will decrease. Basically, the way that I just put it in, I have stuff in the bottle before I hit start, which I'm not showing on camera right now. They're like, no perfumer ever gives away their full formula. They're not supposed to. It's like a trade secret. So I have some stuff in this bottle that I'm not explaining to you. But these marine things that I just added, it doesn't matter to me if somebody figures out, because right now I'm not doing the exact concentrations. I just basically, I'm ballparking it to figure out what I like and what I don't like. But once I add this denatured alcohol, it doesn't matter that I put those in last. It'll blend everything together. It'll become one uniform compound. Right now, they're all separated oils layered together on top of each other. So when you smell it, you're smelling the last thing you put in the bottle, basically. But once I put this in, the things underneath will also mix in and blend. So we're going to add this denatured alcohol. Actually, I'll show this to you up close. Right now, you can see that there's that much of it in there. that's all the fragrance that I've added in. And then we will put this in. You can see, if you can, there's kind of like a line in the middle right here. This little cloudy line is dividing the liquid from the oil. Once I add some more denatured alcohol to it, it'll actually disappear and start to blend together. So we'll fill this up. I think I actually added a little too much of my previous ingredient, because it looks like I'm at about 25% of this bottle, and I want it to be about 20. 20 is what makes eau de parfum, and 30 is what makes perfume level of cologne or fragrance. So we were trying to make this eau de parfum. Okay, that bottle is now full. I will get a cap for the roller. Now we have the bottle of perfume, fragrance, and we add the roller ball. We add the lid. This is just to move the oils around to make sure that everything in it becomes a uniform. So if you look, can you see that there's like cloudiness moving around in there? That's the oil that once I shake this up, that'll stop. But and how a fragrance smells with a rollerball versus versus a spray. Yeah, interesting. I'm glad you saw it. So now that I've shaken it, it's gone. The oil has actually completely dissolved in the water. It's water soluble, so alcohol would be the denatured alcohol is strong enough for the oils to break down in it and become one inseparable fragrance. Now it's a uniform chemical. A roller can basically be more concentrated than an atomizer spray bottle, because a sprayer, if you think about it, it's going to get like a giant radius once it gets further away out the bottle. So the closer you have it, the more concentrated it would be. Further you have it, the less concentrated. But it's in an entire area of your body, so it might, evaporate better because it's more dispersed. But anyways, the real trick is to make sure that you have something that's actually not eau de toilette, eau de cologne, and you have eau de parfum or perfume, because that's telling you the concentration of the fragrance. It really wouldn't matter if it's in a roller or a spray bottle. It's all about how much fragrance was actually in the bottle as opposed to water and alcohol. So now that we're here, we can test this out. And usually you're supposed to let it mature, but I'm just ballparking to see if this is even in the right direction and worth, taking the time to do that. So we'll go here, apply this. So I will probably actually need to go back and dilute some of the chemicals that I just used, which you're supposed to dilute every chemical in general, but I was only using trace amounts. I know you can't smell it, but it is very briny and very sea-like, so much that it's covering all of the other smells that I have in here. The seaweed one that I'm using is just so potent that I'll probably have to put 1 drop of seaweed in, like use 1/10, a ratio of 1 to 10, to make the seaweed weak enough to where the other smells penetrate. Because it's the only smell that I'm smelling right now, like on top of all the other things that I added. Before I started the video, I had like about 7 other chemicals added in here that are like the base fragrance. The other things that I added on top were environment and atmosphere, you know. So like if I was making this smell like an apple, I would have put the apple in, and then afterwards I want the environment that the apple is contained in. So I start adding things like the ocean, like the leaves of the ocean, the smell of that fish over there, the boats moving above us, just different environmental things. I could not wear this unless I was working at like, if I was a marine biologist, I would love this, but I'm not. It is pleasant. It's just not what I'm going for. It doesn't ring with Poseidon. It rings like Poseidon if he was a fish. And I need Poseidon as like a god, like a man. Oh God, that is so strong. But that is the reason why everyone says to dilute all of your chemicals before you use them. Even in trace amounts, I probably should have diluted it somewhat. But the ozone ones, I can smell them and they're really, really great. What does it say? I'm trying to see your last comment. Poseidon is trying. Yeah, I know he's trying his best to just like swim across. But while I'm here, I'll show you guys some of the scents that I have already made that smell completely amazing. I'll be right back. Let me grab a few of them. So this one is known as Iron Bend. Iron Bend is going to be one word. And for any of those of you who watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, definitely loved that show. So, but this smell comes about because it's supposed to be rock solid carbon. It's supposed to be hard earth. It's supposed to. I woke up one day and said, I want to smell like a rock, like literally a beautiful rock or a fragrant rock. And this is what's in this bottle. It's like a mixture of, you know, your earthy smells, like literal clay, dirt, sand, mud, but then you have overtones of green grass, some earthen like atmosphere, some air flowing above you, and some metal. It definitely has a metallic taste to it, but it smells wonderful, and there is lavender in it. And of course, you know, everyone loves lavender, men and women. So I made this smell to be the manliest smell of my brand, and I've had 3 women already ask me to make them a bottle. So that's starting to, you know, turn some wheels in the head here. Does it smell cold or warm? Is the rock cool in the morning or warmed in the sun? So this rock is underneath the earth. This rock is one that has not seen the sunlight. It's just like molten magma that's beneath the earth, like right above the tectonic plates, moving around. It's not warm and it's not cold. It's just rock solid and frozen in time. Think of the center of a mountain. Like, I am in the middle of Everest. I am the heart of Mount Everest. I am inside of the mountain. I am that rock. The stalagmite cave is this. It's not cold and it's not warm, and it doesn't have a temperature to it. It's more like an unknown earth element, like an unknown alkaline metal, maybe. Something of that nature. You know, like this is something that doesn't exist that I made into existence. And it's meant to give a feeling and an environment rather than a temperature to you. Man, Poseidon is not winning right now. This stuff, I'm going to show it to you guys. This is literally just called Seaweed Accord from Perfumer's Apprentice. It is so strong. I only added 3 drops. I should have added like a half of a drop. It's all I can smell right now. We're gonna try rubbing him on again and see if that changed anything, letting it sit for a little longer. But this is also why they say let it mature. Oh no, it's changing. It's changing. It smells a lot better now. It smells more refined now. Just like it went through it. Poseidon just needed to sit down and calm his tits for a moment. He's much more fragrant now, and yeah, it's starting to go in a good direction. Now back to the other fragrances. This one is made for a unisex audience. It's called Ionari. He was a samurai emperor of Japan who enforced his subjects to build orchid gardens in the palace. So for the time that he was in charge, the entire main central palace of Japan where he was smelled like orchids and samurais and Japanese cypress trees and cherry blossoms and, you know, Japan. That's what's in this bottle. So at the same time he was a perfumed samurai, some samurais would actually keep incense inside of their helmets, and he was one of those people that did that. Now I don't know if he had orchid incense or not. I don't know what incense they used back then, like the smell of it. I looked it up and they really didn't have any detail onto the exact fragrance that he used. But still, samurais did do that. So that gave me an idea to make something out of this, and it smells like orchid. I'm gonna smell it right now just to get a whiff of it. It's peaceful. It is so peaceful. It smells like orchids with glitters of stardust. Like just these orchid gardens with some glitters of stardust. It's wonderful. But this is Ionari number 1. There's an Ionari, then there's an Ionari 2, then there's an Ionari 3. They're still in the testing phase to figure out which one people want the most. One of them is very masculine, one of them is very feminine, one of them is unisex. And obviously the one that gets the most attention will be streamlined to the front of the brand. But the formula for the other ones gets saved into a repository, and maybe like 5 years from now I release it under a different name, or I release it as, you know, part of the same niche. That's how you end up with like different versions of Chanel, different versions of your fragrances throughout the years. You know, like if you bought a 1980 bottle of this, of Creed, and then you get a Creed bottle today, they're not the same formula anymore. Regulations have changed, ingredients have changed. So Poseidon is still not where I want him. That seaweed accord is extremely strong. And it smells just like seaweed, like uncooked seaweed. Fresh, still growing, still living seaweed. But if you took it out of the ocean and smelled it on land. Oh, I love this smell. I love this smell. It is amazing. No, these aren't my major smells. These aren't the ones that are going to be at the top of my brand. I'm not going to show those yet until I get everything like registered, copyrighted. I have to send off documents, paperworks. But for the most part, with perfumery, people don't actually patent some of their fragrances because that involves you telling someone else your entire formula is trade secret, which is something that perfumers don't like to do. And none of them ever should, because it allows someone to steal something that, you know, could make you, could you replicate? I actually have one fragrance. I'm gonna go grab it. Wait, I did grab it already. It's here. It's called Titanium. It smells literally like what I imagine the inside of a brand new Aston Martin would smell like, or underneath the hood. Whenever it's just fresh off the line, just literally all of the pieces were put on and you smell the chassis. Like you literally open the hood and you smell the engine and every little brand new piece of metal with like that layer of oil or whatever that's sitting on it. Fresh off the line, hot off the press. It's like cold steel metal. And it's called Titanium and it's bold. It doesn't smell like gasoline. You could make that smell, but I don't think people would want it because it would be alarming. If you'd ever smell it, it would be really alarming to smell gasoline. You know, it might make people react or check this. Oh God, it has peppermint in this. So think like steel, cold, frozen steel with peppermint. Think of a samurai cutting through ice or cutting through like a frozen tundra wind with his sword. And his sword is hot, but then it cuts through the wind and it becomes cold, and that smell that comes out is this. That's what my titanium smell is gonna be. I love this smell. He used to work on cars. He usually smelled like working on cars. I'd love to replicate that smell just to put on a hanky in one of his old jackets. I only have this titanium smell, but I do have a smell that some people have said reminds them of their grandfathers. It's called Labousse or Labousse. It's named after the French pirate, and it has a scent to it that a lot of people said is nostalgic. It's comforting and nostalgic. It has like traces of bay rum, and it smells like a pirate's voyage. It's really nice, and the titanium one that I just smelled is as close as I will ever go to making something that smells like a car. Um, but that one's intent wasn't to smell like that. It just also mirrors a unique scent that is out there. I'm sure there are actually some fragrances that smell like that because there you could probably mix a tar fragrance, some type of tar smelling fragrance with smoke and anything metallic or iron, rust smelling. You know, like roses. Roses make a smell that's similar to it's like the iron oxide smell comes from a segment of rose, not regular rose, but like geranium based roses in that family, in that region, have an iron oxide smell to them. Iron oxide smells like blood, by the way, which is like rust. So it would have a little bit of that. And then you would probably want some sweat, so you would add some musk. That's what I would do as a perfumer if somebody asked me to make something like that. And then I would, find the chemicals to make up each one of those accords that I just mentioned. But we are going to consider Poseidon a failure. If anybody watching this has a aquarium business or fish, or they love aquariums and fish, you're welcome to get this from me because it's not going in the brand. It is definitely something that a fishy person would love. You could wear this if you work at PetSmart, man. People would definitely buy the fish around you. It's inspiring me to want to go near the ocean and swim or something. I don't think it would inspire a woman to like throw herself at me. I don't think my wife would like the smell very much either. So we will call that one a failure. I do not have a website yet. I am basically just posting what I'm doing on TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube at the moment. I'm working on my website, but I'm going to publish it after I get a little more information on packaging and branding. Once I have my labels ready, my packaging ready, and I can put matching stuff on the website, I will finalize the website and upload everything onto it. But I do have the light boxes to take photos of each product. I do have 20 cents ready for streamlining and shipping. I have started selling these, but they obviously don't have proper branding. So if there's anything anyone's interested in or they have any questions, they could just ask them down below. I'm always on the phone. I work from home, so I can instantly respond at any time. And I do not currently make like fragrances for other people. I'm more concerned with making my own brand and establishing my own ride through the market. Um, but eventually down the road, I might offer that as a service too. Some people have come to me asking, can you make this? Can you make that? And it's like, I could, but at the moment, I'm more concerned with this fragrance that I made called Wallace, which is like William Wallace, and it smells like Ireland. And I love it to death because I really, really love the smell of grass. And I'm trying to perfect that. But I'm also trying to perfect Poseidon, and Poseidon was a horrible fail, while Wallace was a great success. Wallace came out and it was like it jumped to the front of my line. I made it a few nights ago and it literally jumped, soared to the front of the line, ahead of like 18 other scents. No, I'd say 16. Wallace would be like number 5 in line right now, maybe number 4 in line. Poseidon right now is number 21. He's not even on the list. This is bad. I should have diluted that before I did that. It's kind of one of those impulsive moments where you just wanted to mess around and make something and let people see what you do. So I regret doing that. I should have taken my time, diluted each one of those things, but it would have been very boring on video to watch me dilute each individual chemical. I would have had to like do that beforehand and then show you guys the diluted product in little vials, then pour those in. It is not working. I need to get this off my hand. It's not good. Do you have any more questions for me? Let me open up the chat. Sanu Mongol Cowboy. No, go wash hands. I'll be right back. Now, this is actually surprising. I washed my hands and added water over it and obviously rubbed a lot of it off, and now it starts to smell good. But that's because I removed half of what should have been diluted out of there to begin with. Well, we'll call it a fail for tonight. This marks day 1 of failure for Poseidon. I will try to live stream each iteration of me attempting to make this. Have a good night, guys. See you again soon. You're welcome, Charity.